I'm pleased today to have Stefania Rosini for a dialogue. She's from Tuscany originally, and she's now in Hollywood for her work as a set photographer. And as usual with this podcast, it's a dialogue on the reasons of photography. So tell us a little bit more about why photography and how it got into your life.
Yes. So I think when I was 8 years old, I was living, I'm from like a very small town in Tuscany. And at that time, my cousin's boyfriend, now is her husband, but at that time was just a boyfriend. He was an amateur photographer, and he was always, taking photos over here. And me, that at that time, I was 8 years old and not very good at modeling. And but I think he transmit his passion for photography through to me. And long story short, I think the moment that I think I said, okay, this is when I do it. When I'll be an adult, I want to do this. It's when I was in the darkroom with him, and the first time I saw appearing an image and on the paper, to me it was like kind of magic, and I was like, oh my God, this is something that I totally want to do in my life. And then they gave me for my birthday like a Canon Junior, like a point and shoot.
Mm-hmm.
And I was taking photos always in every occasion. And also my mom told me, you better find another hobby, dear, because it's very expensive hobby. At that time, it was like developing and
Oh yeah.
And then when I was 13, I went to Paris with the school. And my uncle, he gave me, he let me borrow the M2. That now I have it. I bought it. But, in 4 days in Paris, I came back with like 13 rolls, and not all of those photos sucked. So I'm like, okay, I think I can, I have an eye. And I was always, taking photos. I bought like my first Nikon FE2, I think it was. No, FE.
And yeah, you had yours both, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and then the year passed by, and I went to the university, and I think I got lucky because one of my roommates' boyfriend was a journalist. So he was seeing all of my photos hanging on my room. And he suggests me, hey, Stefania, I know this this press agency. If you want, you can do like maybe an internship with them. I'm like, yeah, I would love to. So that's how I started professionally. I started to work with before it was an intern, and then they hired me, press agency. And I always loved music, and I started to take photos in concert.
Yeah.
The best part was that I was going to concerts for free.
yeah.
And,
but you started directly when you were from the beginning to do the concert photography?
I was at the university first year, probably I think I was 20 years old. And the first 6 months I was amazing, because I had to I was taking care of their archive. So I was like, cutting, washing the negative, cutting, put it in the folders. And then there was like that moment of the passage from the analogic to digital. So I also digitalized all of these negatives for them. And it was amazing, because I was seeing in the negative all of these amazing musicians, like, I don't know, B.B. King, John Coltrane, or, I don't know, Chet Baker, U2, like in 1982, something like that. Yeah. So it was just amazing. And And then, yeah, I asked them, because, I love music. I love to go to concert. And I asked them if I could start taking photos to concert. And they let me go, in a theater. I started by myself, like in a rock venue in Bologna. And then they gave me, my assignment. And every Tuesday I was doing the Teatro Comunale. So I was doing like the classic music. And there I got the chance to see my first picture it's printed on a magazine, on a paper.
Oh, wow. So it's so really linked to music. Yeah. It's funny because you're talking about, I'm a big fan of film photography. Obviously, we're a generation that was able to discover photography by the magic of the chemical process. There's definitely
this is one of the perks to be a little bit older.
Yeah, more mature. I'll say
more mature. But yeah, at least we know how to put like a film in the camera.
In the camera, there's probably some other magic to the digital photography, of course, but it's kind of it was kind of an incredible period to do something that's purely chemical. And when I think about I've seen your work, obviously, on concerts, a selection you've posted on your website. And what I found interesting is there's probably half of it or more in digital form, no? Or it's all, yeah.
Yeah, because as I told you, when I started to work as a professional, it was like that year of the passage of the, analogical to the digital. So of course, instead of basically I was so my two bosses, amazing photographers, they were like going to work at night. So I was going to the office probably 7 a.m. I was developing their negative and then making like the contact sheets. They were coming and choose the picture that me and another photographer, an older one, we were going to the darkroom, to print these photos. And then at 10 a.m., the Pony Express guys will come, take the envelope and bring it to the magazine. And then the next day you will see the picture. When I started to digitalize everything, it was like, I was scanning 30 minutes to scan more photos. And then,
less adventure in some ways.
Yeah, it was, it was faster, the process. And you could have like the photos printed like the next day in the magazine for sure. That was.
And how did that actually, because I read somewhere, I think on your site, that you like stealing images of the soul, of somebody's soul. And you obviously have a process, which is a very enthusiastic process towards the image, the adventure of taking pictures. How do you see this period of time compared to what you're doing now in your life?
About the, capturing the soul, it's something that, I don't know. I also studied when I was at the university in psychology. I did like a class, and basically, I read somewhere, I don't know where, but the photos basically is like the tangible thing that you have when somebody is not anymore with us. So these things, I don't know, it fascinated me so much because it's true. It's true. It's something that you touch and it's something that you keep it with you. So it's like when somebody, it's not anymore, it's past, it's like, it's gone.
It's a concrete link to existence. Yeah.
Yes. And also another thing that when I was at the university and I was at the same time I was working for this agency, but I was still studying, and one of my professor, we were doing like a documentary about like one of the building in Bologna, and with my classmate, I asked, when we started, I asked the professor, can I take photos while we are doing this process? And he was like, yeah, sure. it was kind of a set photography thing.
Yeah.
And then, I was doing my contest sheets, and once in a while, I was bringing it to the professor, and he told me, Stefania, keep doing it, because I can totally see the character of every classmate, every people here in the class. And so I was like, okay, this is not a compliment that my mom or my friends gave me. It's like somebody, like, he's like a very, he's a professor, so he knows. And I'm like, okay, I think I have a chance in this job. And yeah, when I went to the university, I was studying letter and philosophy, and my special course was like cinema. And I discovered that I could, unify my two biggest passion, cinema and photography, and music,
Definitely.
And but yeah, it was like a real job. So my final dissertation, actually, I studied I studied the set photography in Italian cinema between like the 60s, the neorealism. So, and I said, okay, I want to be a set photographer. I think that one, when I decided,
okay. Yeah, so that's when it came about to link all of this. Yeah, I was wondering, because I also read that you state that you still use film photography for black and white.
Oh yeah.
What are you using? You're using Piranha film, or?
I have like a Nikon FM2 that I bought like probably 5 years ago. It was so cheap. It was amazing. And then I have a Rolleiflex. That's one of my best friend gave it to me, and he's not with us anymore. So this is my favorite camera for sure. And then I have a Pentax 645, and the big format.
The larger, the real surface.
Yeah.
But do you think? It's interesting, because this usually in those dialogues we talk about the reasons of photography. Obviously, what's the magical part for you is super important. The soul catching in the positive way, the memory linked to it. And how do you see digital photography in that sense? Because I find it less tangible sometimes personally, but it's really less tangible. It is okay.
To me, it was like a kind of a trauma to pass, to do this passage, because it's I don't know, one of the things that fascinated me about photography is like that moment that it can never be redone. How do you say?
It's a once in a
unique
moment.
And you capture that the only moment that happened in front of you. And that one was something that really fascinated me. I was like, oh my God, this is so beautiful that you can have that memory forever. And with the digital, first of all, the first digital camera, they were never anything close, with the resolution of the film camera. So I was like, oh my God, what I've done here? What is that? Especially working like in concert with low lights, and you will see all of those pixels. I'm like, no. And I don't get me wrong, I really love the grain. I was always using the 3200 Kodak, in concert and black and white. I really love the grain. Nothing, wrong. But the digital, it was something different for me.
Yeah.
And but then, of course, and the fact that with the digital, Photoshop, the process of all of these. Too much work for me was at that time, and I didn't understand it, because you seriously, you could create like a moment in digital world that did never exist. But with Photoshop you can assemble like an image. And that to me was another. I couldn't even call photography for me, because that one was like, so photography in Latin, it's a photografia. It's like right with the light. So, and with the digital, to me, wasn't like the same. I don't know.
Yeah, it's a cloning of the energy.
But you have to stay. You stay, in touch with your time, and is inevitable. You have to go with it. So
but at the same time, if you look at the younger generations,
I love it.
Right,
oh my God.
Right now the film is going up in price because so many younger photographers are embracing film right now. Do you think it's linked to this?
Yeah, I think so, because I don't know. There was a moment where it was so difficult to find the paper, the roads, the acid. It was so difficult. Now here, I mean, at least in Los Angeles, there are so many places that I can go, and they have. Actually, when I walked into the first store, it's Freestyle here in Hollywood, and I saw like, oh my God, there is only a store only for the developing for film cameras, and I was like, oh yes, thank
Magic.
God. And the younger generation are like so passionate about, they understand like the importance of like the film camera for sure. For sure.
Just I'm looking at the time. We're almost at 15 minutes, which is super short. But
it's cool.
But what do you think about photography in your life? Was it inevitable, or
it was? It was inevitable. Yes, as I told you, since that moment, that picture that came out, and I am Capricorn, so when I decide something, I go all the way down, and it's not easy to be a photographer. It's not easy to be a set photographer. I did, and I am still doing lots of sacrifice to live in my dream. But at least, I am doing it. And lots of money. But I'm pretty sure that, very soon I will repay all of my sacrifice. In a way, I will. I already repaid because, I was the first person that got into the Society of Motion Picture Still Photographer, the SMPSP, that it wasn't like living in the USA.
From the outside.
It was a union. And I got in 2018, and I was in union. Now I'm union. And also that one was like an overdue process that, I mean, a very difficult process, but finally I got to join the union. So I am union now. And, awesome. And also, seeing my photos published like in posters, and I got the chance to work for Amazon for like with big stars like Chris Pine, Tandy Newton, Lawrence Fishburne, Jonathan Pryce, and Olivia Colman, and David Thewlis, all of this. When I see HBO, and sometimes, I see my photos, I'm like, oh my God, Steph, I'm like, I mean, nice. In a way I did it because I was dreaming it, and I am doing it.
You're living the adventure.
The best is yet to come, because now that I am in the union, I can work on big studio movies also here in America. So I'm just waiting.
Okay. Yeah. So
the big next project.
Yeah. Well, I thank you so much for this dialogue.
Thank you.
We're going to have those. Yeah, we're going to have a few common group Zooms once in a while. So I hope we'll see you at that time.
Yeah.
Thanks so much.
Happy to talk about photography. Thank you.
Fantastic. Bye-bye.
Bye.